July 2023 is going to be one of the most consequential months, leading to the greatest transformations in people's identities, finances, and love lives. There is an interplay of conjoined complex aspects of retrograde planets in this month. Let us start by listing these out individually. Firstly, Jupiter is going to be putting its fifth aspect onto Venus, Mars, and Mercury in Leo. If Jupiter alone was going to be imparting its fifth aspect, then it would have led to positive aspects like expansion of love and relationship harmony, financial benefits, spiritual and philosophical perspectives, enhanced communication and expression of intellectual growth and learning, optimism and positive thinking, and creative expression and artistic talents, all to have been influenced in a positive manner. But because of the second aspect, which is of retrograde Saturn putting its seventh aspect onto Venus, Mars, and Mercury in Leo, we will see that Saturn's retrograde energy will influence this conjunction by the seventh aspect, casting its restrictive and challenging impact, thereby causing relationship challenges about commitment and responsibility, frustration and challenges through restrictions and discipline, communicational challenges and self-reflection by introspection, all making it difficult to balance out the harmony and peace in our lives. Thirdly, retrograde Saturn will also be putting its third aspect onto Jupiter and Rahu. When Saturn is in retrograde and it aspects Jupiter, it signifies an interaction between the energies of these two planets. Saturn represents discipline, responsibility, limitations, and long-term planning, while Jupiter symbolizes expansion, growth, wisdom, and abundance. The retrograde motion of Saturn intensifies its energy and may bring about a more introspective and reflective period. It could prompt you to reassess your commitments, structures, and goals, encouraging you to reevaluate your long-term plans and make necessary adjustments. Fourthly, there is going to be an inverse aspect wherein Mars and Mercury in Leo will be putting its seventh aspect onto the retrograde Saturn. And lastly, when Venus goes retrograde in Cancer, we will also see it getting conjunct with Sun. So during this period, relationships and matters of the heart will be the central focus, and you may experience a heightened emotional sensitivity. Venus retrograde often prompts us to reevaluate our values, especially in the context of relationships. It could be a time to reflect on the balance between self-care and nurturing others, as well as how you express love and receive love from those around you. Since Sun is also involved here, there may be a strong emphasis on self-expression and shining a light on your true desires and needs. This alignment can inspire a deep exploration of your own identity, creativity, and personal style. Given the Cancer influence, there may also be an inclination to seek emotional security and a sense of belonging in your relationships. You might also find yourself being drawn to nurturing and comforting experiences, as well as a desire to create a loving and harmonious environment for yourself and your loved ones. Hi lovely viewers, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be taking a stock as to what kind of planetary energies are we all being exposed to during this time period, wherein all of these planets are getting aspected one way or the other by retrograde planetary energies, be it the Saturn retrograde which is happening, as well as the Venus retrograde which will take place in this month, and soon to become retrograde Mercury as well, which will take place. And all of these planetary energies are coinciding with each other, creating greater and further impacts of challenges and chaos and transformation for all of us during this time period. And as we have discussed already, all of these energies and how they're being interconnected right now and creating the sort of impact in all of our lives, which can be challenging at this point. So we will try to understand how all of these planetary energies are going to be manifesting and influencing the kind of results that will take place during this month for all of the signs. And we will start out by discussing the first sign, which is Aries. For you, this month is going to bring a lot of emphasis on your self-image, your personality, as well as your interests and creative pursuits. And this is because there is this huge accumulation of energy which is happening in your fifth house, as well as a major transit happening through your first house of Jupiter. So we see that you are going to be dealing with a lot of transformation and a lot of change with regards to how you are basically going to be viewing yourself at this point. So what kind of image that you have of yourself? What are you basically working on cultivating, wherein you want to make certain improvements or certain changes to your self-perception, as well as how kind of people you have around you perceive you, and as well as also what kind of interests and creative pursuits that you really want to hone into to be able to accumulate or accentuate your personality. So these kind of things will become a major part of your themes for this month. But also what you will be experiencing is a lot of changes in two aspects, which is going to be your finances, because your 11th and your 5th house are both getting influenced at this point by the conjunction of energy in the 5th house and by the Saturn retrograde in your 11th house. As well as you will see that there is a huge catalytic change which will happen with regards to your romantic relationship because of all this accumulation of energy in the 5th house of romantic relationships, as well as the subsequent Venus retrograde which will take place through your 4th house. So all in all, this is a month of self-exploration. This is a month of changing things about yourself that you do not necessarily feel like is helping you forward, as well as also getting some sort of reins on your finances, your money-making abilities, and also focusing on what kind of relationships do you really want to cultivate right now, and what kind of equations do you want to lay down in your romantic relationships which are conducive to your self-growth. So what we see is that there is this correlation that happens because Saturn retrograde as well as Jupiter is going to be putting its aspect onto your 5th house. So it is going to have positive and negative effects as well. So what you will start to see, especially with regards to your money making abilities, especially in instruments which have speculative gains, like things which have an instance of risk being involved in the kind of gains that you receive from the investments that you make, as well as what kind of romantic relationships are you able to keep and fulfill right now. So what happens here is that Jupiter will be putting its 5th aspect onto all these planets, which is Venus, Mars, and Mercury in your 5th house. And we also see that the retrograde Saturn will be putting its 7th aspect onto these planets. So what this kind of tells us definitely is that you are right now going to struggle with the fact that what kind of romantic relationships you're able to keep right now and what kind of identity you assume that it brings to you. So what kind of person do you feel like when you are a part of that relationship is going to definitely be one of the major things that is going to be on the forefront of your mind right now. And this can be a little challenging because you will feel that there are some roadblocks or there are some sort of challenges with being able to even communicate regarding these thoughts that you're getting with your partner. So it can kind of lead you to a tough spot wherein you have all these thoughts swirling in your head, but you're neither able to communicate it effectively to your partner, hence not being able to get a resolution regarding it. So it makes you feel worse about the issues that can technically be handled with effective communication and understanding on the part of both of the partners. You can also feel bogged down by the kind of responsibility that you feel you necessarily have with regards to balancing out the dynamics of your relationship. You'll feel more like a burden or a chore than actually feel like, something that brings you joy or something that brings you creative energy and things like that. So that is one of the facets. The second facet is that you are definitely going to feel a restriction when it comes to the kind of progress or the kind of money that you were able to make with regards to the kind of investments that you've made in speculative gain markets, with the kind of exponential gains that you can get, is definitely going to feel restricted, because you are going to have these instances wherein you might have over stipulated the kind of risk that you have taken without taking into account what kind of challenges or things that can actually start to go wrong if your projections don't actually work. So definitely take stock of how much risk appetite do you have at this point with regards to your investment, and play it a little safer, because as Venus goes retrograde, you are definitely going to feel a huge change and restriction with regards to both of these things, which is your finances as well as your love life and your romantic relationships. So work constructively at being able to resolve these issues, because if you don't, then they will escalate as soon as Venus goes retrograde. Because as soon as Venus goes retrograde and it gets conjunct with this energy with the Sun in Cancer, you will start to see these changes happening in how you're really able to express your emotions, how you're really able to understand what kind of challenges you're facing right now when it comes to self identity, because your emotions will become a space which you will not be able to really comprehend at that point. So emotionally, it will become a really hard time for you to come to terms with what kind of changes have happened or have started to happen in your relationships as well as your monetary investments and things like that. So, work towards creating a better and more self-assured image of yourself, so that you're able to tide through these kind of changes that are happening in very crucial parts of your life. I hope you have a great month ahead. Thank you so much for watching. If you need to listen to the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on the Patreon page, the link for which will be in the description box. Taurus, this month is going to bring a lot of changes in your professional as well as your personal life, which pertains to your home and family. And you are also going to have to navigate through a sense of crisis when it comes to how are you able to really overcome and accept the process of loss, as well as be able to be okay with the fact that your efforts can always not lead to the outcomes that you expected to have. So these are the kind of major themes that you will have to go through during this month, and let's try to understand how these planetary energies are going to be working out for you during this time period. Yes, during the month, there will be this huge conjunction of energy which is going to happen in your fourth house in the sign of Leo, wherein Mars, Venus, as well as Mercury finally will be conjunct. And this is where you will start to feel these kind of changes start to take about in your life, wherein your home and family is concerned. So, and this is because you will see that Saturn retrograde will be putting its seventh aspect onto your fourth house, as well as Jupiter will be putting its fifth aspect there as well. So both of these planets are going to be influencing what kind of relationship you have with your family at this point, how you're able to really talk about the things pertaining to your interests, that are pertaining to how you basically invest in things, especially your investment in instruments regarding real estate as well. And what kind of dynamics are you able to really fester and be able to cultivate at this time with your family. And this is where you will have to take stock of how is it that your personal journey right now, when it comes to the kind of changes that you're having in your personality, as well as the kind of changes that are being present with the challenges you're facing in your professional life, is going to really impact how you're able to even present yourself within your family unit, and what kind of dynamics do these kind of changes bring about in your relationship with your home and family unit. So you're going to see that all these changes are definitely going to even impact your relationship with your family, wherein you are going to feel this sort of disconnect with the kind of identity or the kind of the part of the family that you assumed before these kind of changes started to happen. So you are going to question what is the value of you as a part of the family unit, and what are the things that you bring onto the table regarding that dynamic as well. You're also going to face certain challenges when it comes to being able to really communicate about your identity, about your confidence, about your belief systems with money, and all these things with your family. So there can be an internal conflict with regards to these things, wherein you do not see eye to eye with these aspects in relation to what kind of values your family has regarding these things. And this is where you're going to feel a sort of emotional as well as communicative disconnect with your family, and this is going to be hard to navigate with respect to also facing certain sort of challenges and setbacks within your professional career because of the Saturn retrograde taking place in your 10th house. Further down the line in the month, when Venus goes retrograde in your 3rd house, it is definitely going to become that much more harder for you to be able to make sense of the kind of emotional outbursts or the kind of emotional responses you're having to things around you. And you can have these sort of instances where things can very easily emotionally overwhelm you, which can make it harder for you to communicate about the kind of challenges and the amount of stress and the amount of burden that you feel at this point. Try to seek out the people that you feel the most comfortable with to be able to talk to be able to rejoice in the company of, so that you're able to really talk about the challenges that you're facing at this point. Because if you keep within yourself and you're not able to really communicate about the kind of things that you are thinking about and feeling right now, it is going to push you into this sort of episode of poor mental health, wherein you are going to disassociate, you are going to isolate yourself, and that is not productive for you in any way. And all of these troubles is definitely going to induce a sense of doubt when it comes to your confidence, when it comes to your self efforts. So going to really question if the kind of work that you do, or if the kind of, sacrifices you make for your family really amounts to anything. A lot of self exploration, a lot of introspection is going to definitely take place in this month, wherein you are going to ask yourself quite hard questions to be able to really make sense of, you know, what is it that is really happening in your life at this point. And because your ascendant lord is going to go retrograde during this time period until September, you definitely have to stay careful regarding your health as well. So these are the kind of challenges that you might face during this time period. I hope you are able to navigate these energies during this month. And thank you so much for watching. If you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on my Patreon page, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Geminis, during this month, you are definitely going to see challenges with regards to how you're really able to communicate, ideate about your emotions as well as your interests. And this is going to impact your ability to be able to relate to other people, to be able to network with different sorts of people. And this is going to impact your sense of self and the kind of self image that you have. And these are the kind of energies that you will have to navigate during this month. So let us dive deeper into exploring what kind of challenges or what kind of changes are you going to be facing in the planetary energies during this month and its transits. So we see that there is, in the initial part of the month, a conjunction between Sun and Mercury, which will be taking place in your second house. So definitely this is a good time period for you to be able to really hone in and concentrate on the fact that how you're really able to channelize the kind of financial gains you want to make into securing a better financial stability for yourself, wherein you feel secure about your finances and your ability to be able to provide for yourself, and also not just for yourself but for your family as well. You will also at this point of time be able to feel more connected and feel it's much more easier to communicate about your feelings with your family. But as we progress and we see that there is this conjunction which is going to take place in your third house of Venus, Mars and Mercury, conjunction in your third house in the sign of Leo, this is definitely going to bring about a lot of changes in not just your finances or even your love life, but also your ability to feel good about the kind of things that you're doing right now. And this is because there is going to be a dual aspect of the retrograde Saturn, which is going to be aspecting this conjunction of energy with its seventh aspect, and also Jupiter, which is going to aspect these planets with its fifth aspect. So this dual aspect is going to bring about positive and negative effects, wherein you will start to feel that when it comes to your romantic relationships, it's going to become harder for you to communicate about your feelings with regards to how much effort is really being reciprocated in your dynamic. So you might feel that you might be putting in more in creating a stability in your dynamic rather than your partner. And this can start to bring about misunderstandings and miscommunications, which can lead to greater issues. And also you will start to see that when it comes to your interests and your creative pursuits, you will find it difficult to be able to give the amount of effort and able to harness, or you're able to generate the kind of outcomes that you want. So you might feel demotivated to even try to pursue your interests and creative hobbies. And that for a Gemini is definitely a hit to the core of who they really are when it comes to, seeking their curiosity. With all of these changes, your self identity is going to become questionable, wherein you will start, the kind of efforts that I'm putting into, let's say, my educational pursuits or my ability to be able to earn more is not really generating the result or outcome that I wanted to. And that might make you feel not so great about yourself. And when it comes to your finances, again, you might feel that the kind of effort, the tension that you put into being able to earn more, to be able to generate more outcome, not just for yourself, but for your family as well, is not creating the sort of gains in your finances as you wanted to. And that can become demotivating for you. But if you let that affect you in a very consequential sense, then you will face greater challenges once during the latter part of the month Venus goes retrograde in your second house. So this is definitely going to be a time period wherein your finances are going to go on for a toss, and you are going to feel extremely demotivated, and you're going to really struggle with creating a stability in your finances. It's better to kind of look into what are your investment strategies at this point, and what kind of financial gains are you really making from your investments. And if there is something which you feel is not creating or generating that sort of outcome, it's best to rethink those things and be able to let go of certain things which are not necessarily creating the impact in your finances that you wanted to. Rethinking your own thought processes when it comes to your religious, spiritual, and philosophical beliefs, it might create a greater sort of conundrum or a greater sort of resistance to really adapting with your family values, or just creating your own sense of reality and belief systems. So these are the kind of challenges, or the changes that you might feel start to happen during this time period of the month of July. I hope you're able to navigate and make sense of the changes and challenges you're facing during this time period. And if you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on Patreon, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Cancers, for you, this time period is going to have significant changes come about in your financial abilities of creating safety and comfort during a time period of uncertainty, especially also in relation to your self-identity and your career. Let's see how the planetary transitions are going to be impacting your month. So initially, we see that you will have a Sun and Mercury conjunction happening in your first house. And this goes to show that in the beginning duration of the month wherein these two planets are in conjunction, you will see that there is this catalytic positive energy wherein you feel invigorated about yourself, you feel good about the kind of interests, the kind of creative pursuits that you follow or that you're pursuing right now, in order to basically tie them in with your personality, with your self-perception and things like that. So in the beginning part of the month, you'll also be able to ideate and communicate effectively about your emotions and your feelings. But as we progress during the month and we see this huge conjunction of energy take place in your second house, wherein Venus, Mars and Mercury will get conjunct, you will then start to feel this energy shift wherein the kind of ease that you had in the to ideate or understand what your interests and your self-perception really is like, you will feel much more clouded and doubtful regarding those things, because we have a aspect of retrograde Saturn that is happening on these planets by its seventh aspect, as well as Jupiter making its fifth aspect onto these planets in your second house. So what we will come to see is that, especially with regards to your ideals regarding money, how you're able to create safety and security for yourself financially is definitely going to come into question, wherein you will feel restrictions and feeling unlucky regarding the kind of bets that you would have taken in your investments, especially speculative ones, and the kind of results that they might harbor for you at this point. So financially, the kind of results that you would want to pertain or receive right now are definitely not going to be exactly how you expected it to happen. So that can be one of the things which might be at the forefront of your mind during this time period. And we also go to see that when it comes to your romantic relationships, you can feel this sort of feeling of being out of balance, wherein you are not able to ideate or communicate the kind of emotional support or the kind of issues that you are facing right now with regards to uncertainty, with regards to your career changes and things like that. So that can also be something which might be a dilemma, or it might create a sort of conundrum in your brain wherein you're trying to understand really what it is that is going to bring you stability and security even in the sort of relationships that you are in currently. Also, we go ahead to see that, let's say you have certain creative pursuits that you're interested in, and there are certain sort of vocational trainings or some sort of vocational things that you might have taken on also. So these things can also become a little difficult to follow through. Identity crises wherein you feel that you're inculcating certain interests and trying to make even possibly them into some monetary channels of security. Finally, it might not turn into the kind of outcome you wanted to. So these kind of challenges can come about. You can also feel a little strain when it comes to your familial relationships, wherein closeness that you had within your family dynamic and relations as well. And that can come about primarily on the basis of possibly either your financial decisions, or also the kind of differences that there might be in the kind of value systems that you and your family harbor. Also, as we progress towards the Venus retrograde that will take place during the latter part of the month, and this will happen in your sign. So definitely you have to stay cautious regarding your health, also pertaining to your self-image, because there can be instances wherein you will start to question your relationships, your identity, and how you relate to concepts of money and finances, and basically question these things, wherein it can even take a toll on your emotions as well. So all these kind of reconsiderations and this energy of rethinking, recalibrating will happen in your romantic relationships and your finances, and how that ties in with your self-image and your perception of self-identity as well. So definitely these are the kind of themes that you will be experiencing during this month. I hope you're able to tide through and make sense of the kind of changes that you might be experiencing at this point. If you want to listen to the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on Patreon, and the link for the same will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Leos, you're going to be one of the signs which is going to face the most catalytic changes happen to them during this month, and this is because your sign has a major conjunction happening within its sign. Venus, Mars and Mercury will get conjunct in your sign, and on top of that you will also experience restrictions on the kind of significations that will come about with this planetary energy, as we see that Saturn retrograde puts its 7th aspect onto these planets, as well as Jupiter puts its 5th aspect onto these planets in Leo. So we will have to understand what kind of results can we expect to come about cumulatively from understanding this energy. So as we started to discuss this interconnection of energies within Saturn and all these planets in Leo as well as Jupiter, we see that you will have a major transformation and catalytic change happen to you with regards to your personality, with regards to your self identity, your confidence, and things like that. And this will come about especially in relation to the kind of romantic relationships you are harboring at this point, as well as the kind of belief systems you have cultivated during this time period. So, what we are going to be seeing is that you are going to be questioning the relationships, and this might not just be the romantic partnerships, but also possibly even business partnerships. So, you can feel this sort of burden and a sense of responsibility, which is leading to a drain of the fun or the enjoyment that you could have received from the initiation of these kind of relationships. So that is definitely going to be something that you will have at the forefront of your mind, the sort of conflict wherein you will struggle with the sense of understanding wherein how to balance out your responsibilities and also a sense of fun or enjoyment or excitement in your relationships. And we will also see that, you have this sort of developments that are happening in your religious, spiritual, and philosophical belief systems, wherein of exploration or learning more so about these things will definitely put a very significant sort of change in your perception of yourself, how you really want to identify yourself in relation to your new set of belief systems or the changing kind of ideals that you are currently going through. It can also possibly even give you a new set of moral values and things like that. So definitely a lot of changes that you will start to experience in your personality, and this can also come about in your finances as well, wherein you will have to be careful of how you are going to be basically bridging the gap between having a responsible set of financial decisions being made in your investments, and also be able to bridge the gap between how much of that do you want to keep it regarding your fun personal interests. But rather than just that, you have to understand how to be able to balance those two things, wherein you are adopting a responsible sense of expending out your money and not just frivolously spending it. Because as Venus will go retrograde in your 12th house, you will definitely have to take into consideration how you are going to deal with monetary losses, because there's a huge possibility wherein you will have to reintegrate your analysis and your approach to how are you really saving or able to gain and expand on your finances. So this is definitely something you will have to keep in mind and be able to navigate through, because during the time period of Venus retrograde, you are definitely going to deal with themes of financial losses. So that is something you will have to take care of. During this time period, you will have a conjunction of Sun also happening with this Venus retrograde. So definitely that can even come about as a sense of being not able to really communicate regarding your issues when it comes to money, or when it comes to relationships, push you into this sense of isolation or disassociation, wherein you don't trust the people that you have around you, or that you're able to really communicate and be on the same page as other people in your life at this point. Take some time off to process your emotions, to be able to understand what you're really feeling like, because you might not feel people are necessarily conducive right now to that sort of healing or that sort of recalibration that you're seeking at this point. So these are the kind of things that you will have to look out for during this time period. Reevaluate the concept of safety and security during this time period. And also because there is this huge conjunction of energies within your first house and also within your 12th house, you will also have to be careful regarding your health. Changes and transformations can bring about a lot of emotional baggage, wherein your mental health at this point, and even possibly your physical health, might not be at its greatest point. I hope you're able to navigate and make sense of the kind of changes and challenges that are being put in front of you right now. If you want to listen to prediction, which is unedited, uploaded onto Patreon, and the link for the same will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Virgos, for you, this time is definitely going to be catalytic, transformative, yet quite challenging, because all your Dushtana houses, that is your 6th house, your 8th house, and your 12th house, are all getting majorly activated. So this is definitely going to bring about some major challenges, yet also transformative changes in your life that might not feel quite as welcome in the beginning, but definitely as you ride through and come on the other side of this time period, you will be able to really appreciate the kind of challenges that were put into your path, because they will lead to the biggest overturns in your personality, perception, and even life as well. So let us try to understand what kind of significations can come about for you during this time period. Where you will see challenges is definitely going to be the time period wherein, Venus, Mars, and Mercury will all be conjunct in your 12th house in the sign of Leo. And that is because you will see that there is this amalgamation of this integrated effect onto this planetary energy, because Saturn retrograde from your 6th house is going to be impacting this conjunction happening in your 12th house, as well as Jupiter from your 8th house will also be putting its 5th aspect onto these planetary energies in your 12th house. So as I said in the beginning, so this kind of makes a connection of your 6th, 8th and 12th houses, and in astrology we consider these houses to be Dushtana. These houses definitely have a negative connotation in relation to it. So basically what you will start to see is that sudden transformations that are happening in your life right now, which seem quite out of whack, will bring about really catalytic changes in your perception and your personality during this time period, wherein you will start to really understand and probably accept the fact that you will have to lose a sense of control over things and be able to really heal and transform yourself by the process of letting go of certain things which you held probably primal to your personality or your perception of self, and be able to really adapt to what are the kind of things that the planetary energies are bringing forth for you right now. And this will especially also deal with the kind of changes that you might be even facing in your career right now, and the environment in your employment at this point, because Saturn being there in your 6th house will definitely bring challenges regarding your work sphere as well. All these houses being activated at this point can definitely bring about challenges with regards to your well-being. So be careful regarding how you're able to navigate these kind of stresses and challenges, and be able to sort of maintain a routine which is conducive to your healing and your growth right now. You might feel distance when it comes to your romantic relationships, wherein miscommunication or misunderstanding with regards to not being able to really be on the same page as your partner, and that can bring about a sort of isolation, a sort of dissolution of the kind of relationships that you have, because you will feel a sort of loss of sense of even your identity within these relationships, because of not being able to talk about the fact that what is really or the issue with regards to the challenges that you're facing in your relationships right now. And that can bring about a very unmotivated sense of even working at yourself. So all in all, it can impact your all areas of your life really. You will have to come to terms with probably even losing out on certain relationships or certain friendships at this point. And this will especially become true when Venus goes retrograde in your 11th house, and which is when you will start to really have to even make amends with the fact that the kind of financial decisions that you might have taken prior will actually not be quite beneficial to you now. So you will have to come to terms with the impact of probably facing losses in your financial investments. So these are the kind of things that you might have to face, and also the kind of closeness that you might have felt with your network circle or your friends is definitely going to come into question again. and you might not feel as supported or as understood by the people around you, and that is going to further push you into isolating yourself and probably seeking out unhealthy coping mechanisms and things like that. So technically this month is a little difficult for everyone, but also especially for you. So I hope you're able to navigate through these energies and are able to make sense of the kind of challenges and the changes that you're facing right now. If you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on my Patreon page, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Libras, during this time period, you are going to face these sort of challenges with not just your partnerships, be it your romantic or business partnerships, but also your network circles and your friendships now in this month, because there is this huge energy conjunction of planets that is taking place in your 11th house of financial gains. Your network circles and Venus, Mars and Mercury get conjunct, and this is because you will see that Saturn retrograde will be putting its 7th aspect onto these conjunction of planets, as well as Jupiter will be putting its 5th aspect onto these planets. So this cumulative effect of this conjunction and interaction of planets by its aspects is definitely going to bring about a catalytic change in how you're able to deal with your finances, when it comes to the fact that, the kind of financial gains that you are intending to make with possibly the kind of investments that you've made in riskier instruments like speculative markets and things like that. And that is something that you will have to deal with, possibly wherein you could have losses in your financial instruments and investments. And this is definitely going to be further pronounced when Venus goes retrograde in the latter part of the month. So you will also start to see this change in dynamic take place between the kind of connection or the kind of interaction of interest that you were able to have priorly with your network circle and friends, wherein now you are going to question the kind of connection or the kind of relatability with your network circle that you had priorly. So these are the kind of challenges where you will start to feel a little more isolated within your group, wherein you will start to question the ideals or the kind of belief systems you had until this point. And these kind of challenges can really put a dampen on your perception of self, of your confidence even. Energy can be quite challenging right now, wherein you will start to retreat more into yourself rather than being able to really communicate and ideate regarding the kind of connections that you want to keep in your life at this point. And this can come about in romantic partnerships as well as your business partnerships, and now even trickling down into the network circles and the friends that you have around you. So a sense of isolation and a sense of separation can really be something which can be at the forefront of your mind right now. Venus goes retrograde in your 10th house, and it will also be conjunct the sun there. So you will definitely start to see all of these issues even start to trickle into the kind of public perception you have at your workplace and the kind of purpose and value that you derive from your work, because you will start to question how you relate and find pleasure or fun in the work that you did prior to this Venus retrograde. And you can even start to question the monetary benefits that you received in lieu of the kind of work that you did. So possibly there can be a lot of changes and challenges within your work environment as well, wherein possibly you might not be as favorably looked upon by your superiors as well. So all in all, this time can be quite challenging when it comes to your relations to people, especially your romantic relations, your business partnerships, and even your professional relationships and your friendships. So, a lot of the kind of challenges that you will face during this time period will be very much pertaining to the kind of relationships that you have forged in your life and how basically those are helping you right now to create a balance. And peace in your life. I hope you're able to navigate the sort of energies that are present during this time. If you want to listen to the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on my Patreon page, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Scorpios, for you, this is going to be a time period wherein you are going to see very catalytic and sudden changes take place in your work environment, especially wherein there can be a possibility that some event that has been lingering on within your work environment, be it, your relationship issues with either your work colleagues or even your superiors, can come to a heat, and there can be some sort of event which kind of takes a sudden leap into a resolution or an escalation into the issue. So there can be a possibility wherein you might be able to have to deal with these issues head on rather than try to somehow smooth it over or work around it. So that is definitely one of the catalytic major things that you will try to go through during this time period. And this is because there is a very intense conjunction of energies which is happening in your 10th house of career, when your Venus, Mars, and Mercury will be present in the sign of Leo, and it is consequently then aspected by two planets, which is the retrograde Saturn from the 4th house by its 7th aspect, and the Jupiter in your 6th house by its 5th aspect. So this definitely goes to show that there is a possibility that you can have challenging conflicts or conversations with people right now, wherein there is a possibility that you will have to deal with issues regarding your workplace, and possibly there can be help which can be extended during this time period by a mentor to you right now, and that is how possibly you can work through this process of change and transformation at this point regarding your work and career. So rather than holding on to whatever situation you're currently in, try to find the best resolution possible by creating a balanced and peaceful environment regarding these things, and try to move over or move ahead rather than staying stuck in a situation which is not beneficial to your professional progress or your prospects right now. Another thing which can come about as a problematic thing is because your ascendant lord is in the 10th house. So there can be a possibility wherein your public image takes a hit, wherein people can actually, malign whatever your persona or people, how they perceive you right now. So that can definitely become something that you will have to be cautious or careful of, that what kind of narratives are being spoken about you right now, and you have to try to push ahead and not take everything into a conflict zone. Try to resolve these issues as much as you can possibly. And also you will start to feel that the whole process of claiming your authority at work will become difficult right now, because you can have the sort of fundamentally difficult conversations or interactions with your superiors, which make it difficult for you to reach a sort of resolution. So this kind of tension can really be aggravating at this point, wherein it can even boil down into your personal life, wherein you start to see these kind of tensions seep into your home and family life as well. So there can be these instances which can get quite difficult to navigate right now. Also, you can see that once Venus goes retrograde in your 9th house and it gets conjunct with the sun there, you can definitely start to feel a change within your morals also as well as your belief systems, wherein you can start to question the sort of religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs that you hold. Can start to even question their own faith and their belief systems. So that can also be something that you might have to go through during this time period. And just a sense of self, how you basically relate to your morals or your values, and how does that really reconcile with the kind of emotions and feelings that you're currently going through right now. So these are the kind of things that might be the central theme for you during this time period. It is going to mainly feature troubles, misunderstandings, miscommunications regarding your professional life, especially. So that is something that you need to stay cautious about and be able to resolve in the best way possible, because when Venus goes retrograde, it will become difficult for you to be able to manage your financial woes as well. So there can be a possibility wherein, if it comes down to move ahead and lose out on that toxic situation and in your workplace and move ahead. So if that happens, paycheck or your finances also will take a dip. So you have to be careful regarding that as well. So try to conserve and save your money in the best way possible. That helps you to make the most well-informed decisions about your career prospects and where would you like your professional arc to be heading right now. So definitely that is the main theme for you during this time period to have to navigate. So I hope you have a month wherein you're able to understand and you're able to use these planetary energies in the best way possible for yourself to evolve and grow and transform. And if you want to listen on to the full unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on Patreon, as well as the link for which will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. For you, Sagittarius, you are going to see a major change or start of a major transformation take place in your religious, spiritual, and philosophical ideals, your set of belief systems, your values, your morals, and that is going to be one very strongly catalytic event that will take place during this time period, because there will be this conjunction of Mercury, Mars, and Venus present in your ninth house, as well as you will start to see that when it comes to your prospects of higher education and your advanced educational prospects, you will start to see a restriction and just the sort of energy which is not basically beneficial for you to achieve those things despite having, let's say, similar amount of efforts or similar amount of educational material. You will feel that you are being restricted in order to be able to achieve the kind of results that you want to, and that can be probably disheartening at this point. So these are the kind of major events that you will have to navigate and go through during this time period, and that is because you will see that this conjunction of energies in the ninth house will be cumulatively affected and aspected by the retrograde Saturn by its seventh aspect and the Jupiter by its fifth aspect. So cumulatively, what this will lead for you to go through is that you are going to sit back and really question the kind of morals, the kind of value systems that you have at this point, and that will lead you to kind of take a journey into really introspecting, really being able to sit back and reevaluate how you relate to those concepts right now. Even the process of discovering your self identity through the exploration of these concepts, of these beliefs and ideals, is going to be something which is going to be at the forefront of your mind and your energy at this point. Difficulty or a sort of restriction come about in the kind of effervescence or the fun or the excitement that was there in your romantic relationships, wherein you will start to feel bogged down because of misunderstandings, miscommunications, and a sort of feeling of having unequal efforts being put into continuation of a relationship. So that can also be something which you will struggle with currently at this point, wherein you will have to choose over this feeling of, being burdened down by responsibility of continuing a relationship, or chasing some sort of concept or some sort of place of fun, excitement, and just effervescence, creative energy within your romantic relationships as well. Evaluate, how much do you give to other people, and how much are you really putting in an effort to level up, to grow further in your journey. So, all in all, it's going to be a month of a lot of learning and unlearning that is going to happen during this time period. And as the month progresses and Venus goes retrograde in your 8th house and gets conjunct with the sun there, this is definitely going to be a time period wherein you will emotionally not be able to come to terms with the kind of intensity you are going to feel about your feelings. So you can have these kind of really intense emotions wherein you're not even able to communicate regarding those things effectively, and that is going to make you stew within these emotions and feelings, creating a negative impact on even your mental health. So that is something that you will have to be careful regarding. And there can also be a process wherein you start to go deeper into exploration of occult and mystical things. The niche sort of subjects is what you can start to gain interest in exploring. As you are exploring your identity tied in with your ideals and belief systems. So that is definitely going to be a major theme. Also, when it comes to your romantic relationships, you're going to feel quite suffocated emotionally during this time period, because you will not feel at the same page emotionally with your partner, and that can make you withdraw and definitely have very conflicted feelings regarding the continuation of such things. So that is also something which you can probably go through, and this can even impact or hamper your self image and self confidence. So these are the kind of things that might come about during this time period. And also you can see that your finances might suddenly take a unexpected hit, or some sort of unexpected outcome might come about which you were not basically either ready for or expecting. So these are the kind of events that might come about as the Venus retrograde progresses, and it gets conjunct with these strong energies of sun as well. I hope that you're able to navigate and work through the energies which are being presented to you right now to your best benefit. And if you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on my Patreon page, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. For you, Capricorn, you are going to face major catalytic, transformative, and sudden events take place in the realm of your finances, and also in the realm of your familial relations, wherein you will start to feel ending and change take about in the realm of your finances, in the realm of your relations with people. And you are going to be one of the most impacted signs during the Venus retrograde that takes place during the latter part of the month, because it will happen through your 7th house of romantic partnerships. So let us try to understand how these things will unfold for you and what can you be expecting during this time period. You see that there is this major transformative and catalytic energy which is taking place in your 8th house. Venus, Mars, and Mercury, which becomes conjunct in this house, creating a very intense energy of transformation. You are going to face these events wherein, even if you want certain things to change or not, you will be going through such experiences which will push you towards changing those things or reforming those things. And this is because you will have two major planets be aspecting this major catalytic intense energy, which is Saturn retrograde, aspecting these planets by the seventh aspect, and the Jupiter aspecting these planets by its fifth aspect. So this cumulative aspect is going to put this sort of energy onto this planetary conjunction, wherein you will start to see that the kind of profits that you were looking out for, possibly through your family, are going to become difficult to materialize. And this is where the kind of monetary help or aid that you were looking out for is not going to be accessible anymore. And that is because you are going to suffer through these themes of major value changes or major discrepancies or distances when it comes to your monetary values and your family's monetary values and practices. So that is going to put a wedge between the possibility of even having some sort of financial aid be received from them. And that is going to be a little difficult prospect for you to, overcome or move through, because there could be a possibility that that was something that you were depending on during this time period. So that can be one of the possibilities. You can also probably see that you will have this sort of sudden events take place, and these kind of transformative dynamics happen within your romantic relationships, wherein the sort of sense of security and comfort that you were able to receive from your partner prior to this time period will become questionable now, wherein you will not feel seen or understood or just loved in the way that you want to. And this can become spark of, creating or disintegrating the relationship that you are currently in. This is again a challenging event for you to, navigate and come through during this time period, to really be able to make peace or be just understanding of the fact that some things will come to an ending, which you probably might not want to, but might be the best option for you at this point. And also you have to be careful with regards to insurance or something with regards to taxes. You will have to stay cautious, because there is a possibility that you might not be able to fulfill your obligations, and that can have lasting financial impact on you. So be careful regarding those things, especially if you have a business and you're running a business. Then you will have to be extra careful regarding the compliances and the regulations that you have to follow, because if you kind of fail on these prospects, you will have to face larger changes and difficulties within your business transactions and prospects as well. So that is definitely going to be another thing which you will have to possibly go through and understand. Further down the month, we see that Venus goes retrograde in your seventh house of your romantic and business partnerships, as well as Sun becoming conjunct with this Venus retrograde is going to definitely make it much, much harder for you to be able to really come to terms with, how are you able to navigate through these monumental changes in your relationships with people, and even within your dynamics in your relationship and business partnerships. So, and this can even impact your emotional and your mental well-being, wherein you can feel quite bogged down by the sort of thoughts or the sort of sacrifices or compromises that have been made up until this point. And that can even hinder the sort of safety or comfort that you feel in confiding with other people as well, and being able to relate to other people as well. So that will become a challenging aspect for you to have to come over and basically find your self-worth and your safety within yourself, rather than only seeking it through other people at this point. So these are the kind of major aspects or challenges that you will be going through during this time period. I hope you're able to navigate and work through the kind of challenging aspects that the planets are presenting right now. And if you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on Patreon. and the link for which will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Aquarius, for you, the energy that this month is representing is going to have a lot of dichotomy with the sort of self-image that you have regarding your own identity, personality, physique, and things like that, as well as trying to balance those out with your ability to connect with a collective, to be able to network with all sorts of people, and just be friend and romantic partner that you can be to the people that are around you right now. So this is going to be the major sense of challenge you will face during this time period, wherein you will have to reconcile with your identity within a collective or a partnership, and your identity separate from that, which is individualistically, how do you relate to your own self despite or not being a part of any collective, any group, or any partnership. You are going to have this major conjunction happen in your 7th house of Venus, Mercury, and Mars, going to be aspected by both of the planets, which are going to be the retrograde Saturn, which will be aspecting it from its 7th aspect, as well as Jupiter, which will be aspecting it from its 5th aspect. And both of these things are going to be impacting your 7th house of romantic partnerships and business partnerships. So what you will start to see here definitely is the fact that you will start to feel challenges when it comes to being able to balance out your relationships, being able to balance out the sense of responsibility and the sense of excitement within your relationships, the sense of spontaneity or the sense of repetition in your relationships. So these are the kind of dynamics that you will have to come to terms with. And there is a possibility also that you will find it harder to put in the efforts to be really able to work at creating a better dynamic if it is suffering at this point. So these are the kind of challenges which will come about, wherein you will have to rethink the kind of relationships you are cultivating right now, or the kind of friendships that you're in, or the kind of business ventures and partners that you are involved with. This being one of the facets which will be impacted. And the second aspect which you will see is your ability to be able to just see yourself as a part of a group. It'll become difficult for you to relate to people, to be able to enjoy other people's company, to be able to relate to them in a sense of, let's say, of shared interests, of having shared creative pursuits and things like that. So more and more so you will start to feel more alienated more than anything during this process of these retrograde energies combining with all these planets. And this is going to become intrinsically harder for you to make sense of, because it will start to even challenge your own self-perception, wherein you will start to question your own identity. It will definitely be one of the major kind of energies which you will have to grapple with during this time period. We will also see the fact that you will have to stay vigilant regarding your monetary investments, how you're really trying to invest your money. And rather than just following through by the advice of the people around you, you will really have to take a stock of your own intuition, your own research, and really be able to hone into what your gut tells you regarding what are the investments that you should be making right now, rather than just following the saying of certain people around you at this point, because that will be detrimental to your investment strategies and portfolios. So it can open you up to a risk of even losing money, especially even in your business prospects. So you have to be very careful of who you're listening to right now and who you're trusting when it comes to your monetary investments and things like that. We will also see that there is an incidence wherein, when Venus goes retrograde, and it will start to retrograde through your 6th house, and it gets conjunct with the sun there. This definitely is going to be an energy wherein you will get into possibly conflicts with your partners, and this can even lead to dissolution of those kind of relationships if you are not able to work through these kind of challenges that you're facing at this point. And it can also possibly open you up in a way which makes you vulnerable to be exposed to certain health challenges, because your 1st house as well as your 6th house both has retrograde planetary energies right now, and this can open you up to having to sort through certain challenges when it comes to your health, and especially your mental health. So you have to be careful to be able to really navigate your emotions and feelings at this point, because if you don't and you try to just trample it down or try to just smooth it over somehow, it'll become harder for you to come to terms with your emotions, and it'll impact your mental health worse. So be careful of not letting that happen, as well as if you have any sort of loans or any sort of monetary aids that you have taken from somebody else, make sure that you pay it off much before than its due date, or the time that it is supposed to be repaid. Because if you don't, then there is also a chance that these monetary leniency in payments can actually lead you into legal troubles as well. So be careful of not letting your monetary woes increase to an extent wherein it can even lead you into legal issues. So be careful regarding that as well. So all in all, it is a very challenging time for everybody, and you will mainly have to deal with these kind of issues wherein you will even start to question your own self identity and your own ability to be able to work hard at increasing your efforts or increasing your output to the kind of changes that you want to make in your life at this point. So you need to remember that your belief in yourself needs to be the strongest at this point, and I hope you're able to tide through these challenging aspects and planetary energies. And if you want to listen onto the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on my Patreon page, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Pisces, for you, this is going to be a time period wherein you will start to really experience a sort of chokehold on all kind of monetary aspects in your life, be it your monetary savings, be it your financial losses, be it your ability to create financial gains from speculative investments, be it your financial aids that you have received through processes like loans and things like that. So all of these things are going to be impacted for you, because the kind of houses that are getting impacted during this month for you, which is the 12th house of losses, the 2nd house of financial security, the 6th house of your monetary aids through legal instruments, and as well as your 5th house of making monetary gains through speculative investments. All of these are getting impacted. So for you, the major theme for this month is definitely going to be, how are you really going to take stock of your finances, of your money, how you're able to work towards expanding it, the gains that you want to receive from your investments, the kind of risks that you're willing to take at this point, and of how much deliberation and thinking has gone into these kind of investments you're making, because there is also a possibility of heightened failures or heightened losses in your investments as well. And you have to also be very sure of not letting your financial repayments of things like loans or whatever go due, because if they passed that date, then you will definitely also be exposed to certain legal issues and things like that. So these are the primary energies that you will be experiencing during this time period. Let's dive deeper into understanding why is it that all of these things are getting impacted, as well as your prospects of relationships and loss of relationships also getting exacerbated during this time period. And this is because there's this huge conjunction of energy which is happening in your 6th house of Mercury, Mars, and Venus all getting conjunct. And not just this, it is getting impacted by the Saturn retrograde with its 7th aspect, and the Jupiter by its 5th aspect. So all in all, cumulatively, what this is causing you to do right now is the fact that you have to take stock of your monetary losses, your monetary gains, and try to somehow bridge a balance between these things. Because if you're not able to either balance them out or somehow be able to make sure that your financial security and stability is ensured by the kind of gains you receive, in opposition to the kind of losses that you also might be making right now, then it will become difficult for you to be able to repay certain kind of financial, loans or things like that, and that can lead you to into further legal troubles and issues. So you have to be careful regarding that prospect, because these planetary interconnection of energies can cause such things to come about. And this also goes to show the fact that there can be chances wherein your value systems can actually come into some sort of conflict with the romantic relationships that you have, and this can create a sense of loss and a sense of letting go of certain relationships, because you feel that inherently they're not contributing to your well-being, to your wellness. So that can also be a thing which can come about during this time period, wherein you become more open to letting go of people rather than holding on to just relationships and trying to work through them or work at them. So that can also become a troubling aspect for you right now. And this gets further pronounced because when Venus goes retrograde through your 5th house of romantic relationships, it becomes a direct sort of hit onto your ability to be able to really manifest a functionally working romantic relationship where your sense of self and your sense of creative pursuit or excitement is not hampered by just being in a partnership with someone else. So these are the kind of things which might become a reason for you to be dreading the kind of relationships you are in currently. And because this Venus retrograde will also be conjunct with Sun in Cancer, so this definitely goes to show that the kind of emotional connect that you had with your partner will be compromised right now, wherein whatever you do, be it any kind of communicational channels or whatever passionate alliances that you had prior to this, will not work anymore in your favor. And this can cause you to majorly debate and question your self-identity as well. It will make you question your emotions. It will make you question the stability of your emotional response to these kind of aspects. And you have to be careful of not letting these kind of struggles right now impact you in such a fashion that you actually find it harder to sort of balance out your mental health, and it can even further exacerbate onto creating an impact on your physical health as well, because there is a major activation of your 6th house of diseases as well as your 12th house of hospitalization. You have to be careful regarding especially your finances during this time period, because if you're not being careful of the kind of risks that you're taking in your investments when it comes to speculative gains and things like that, then you are bound to go through higher financial losses. So take stock of how you want to stabilize your investments right now to minimize your losses as much as possible at this point. So all in all, these are the kind of energies that you will be experiencing during this time period. I hope you're able to navigate these challenging energies. If you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then it will be shared on my Patreon page, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. And with discussing all of these personalized predictions, I come to the end of this video. I hope that the predictions have resonated with you and you have found some sort of clarity as to what kind of planetary energies you might be exposed to right now, because it will help you to sort of understand how to be able to navigate these challenging times. And please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay updated with all the videos that will be released. Let me know your personal experiences in the comment section if you feel that you have resonated with the kind of predictions that have been shared. Hope to see you soon in the next video. Until then, take care you all.